Hi guys, Michael here, and today I'm coming to you from a small quarry in the back of my family's property. It's a beautiful fall day, so I thought I would take the walk down here and enjoy the nature along the dirt country roads. And what I wanted to talk to you about today is the proper way of initiating or starting a conversation. And for the sake of this lesson, let's assume it's with a complete stranger, someone that you have very little context for engaging, and you don't know them at all and they've never met you before. So when you first meet a person, engage a stranger, the first thing that goes through their head is, who is this? How long are they going to be here? And what do they want? So who is this is an easy thing to answer. It gives a little bit like your name and what's your context of being there, right? So if it's in a bar or something, you can be like, yeah, I'm just visiting the city, or you're a local there. Or if it's in a hotel somewhere, I'm here for business, I'm here for this conference. You know, just a little something in their mind so they have an idea of who you are. The next thing they're wondering is like how long you're gonna be there, right? So like salespeople, they usually use a technique called a false time constraint. And this is when they say something like, oh, I just need a little bit of your time. Or, you know, like, do you have 10 seconds to learn about ABC, whatever? And a better way of doing this that sounds less gimmicky and less salesy is to say something like, oh, I need to rejoin my friends in a second, or my wife is coming and I'm just waiting for her here, or I need to go in a minute because I have a meeting. Something like that is a more better way of setting a time constraint where the person goes, okay, I can sustain interacting with this person for at least a minute, right? This person's not going to try to take up all my day, because they don't really want to get too invested before they actually know you. And the other thing is, what I always tell someone is not to block the fire exit. And what I mean by this is, I mean this both literally as well as metaphorically. You don't want to feel like you're boxing someone in, because if someone's feeling boxed in and like they have no escape from the conversation, the only thing that's going to be going through their mind is, where's the exit? How can I get out of this if I want to get out of this? And as long as that's going through their mind, they're not going to be able to focus on the conversation itself and be fully involved. So if you're like some people, you know, they can be kind of aggressive and physically block your path to get away from them. But in a lot of cases, it's just more like, it's more metaphorical, where they're not physically blocking you from leaving the conversation, but they're really just trying to like keep you there and not giving you a way of escaping, right? And if a person, like I said before, doesn't feel like there's a way to escape, like they're stuck in a room where there might be a fire, the only thing they're going to be able to think about is how to get out of that. And instead you want them to feel like they can leave at any time at their own will, and that'll make them a lot more comfortable and more relaxed, and thus make the conversation better. And the third thing that's going through the person's mind is, what does this person want? And what you need to communicate to them as quickly as possible is that you don't really want anything from them except the opportunity to have a conversation. Like you don't want their number, you don't want their validation, you don't want a favor from them. And the sooner you communicate that you're not there just seeking to try to get something from them, the more comfortable they're going to be around you. And this is much easier said than done, because a lot of people, they want to, at the very least, want to feel like they got the person's approval or the person likes them, right? And this is even still a form of trying to take something from the person, because now they are going to feel pressure not to upset you. So now here's a stranger coming up to me, they haven't provided any value, they want my approval, and now I feel pressure not to hurt their feelings, right? So this is a very subtle way you're still taking from the person, and you need to show them that even this is not the case, that you're really just there and open for opportunity and open for conversation, and if they just want to leave and walk off right then, you're not going to be hurt or upset, and they have the complete freedom to choose how the conversation evolves. You should try to identify a way that you can provide value to the person. Now this value can be simple as being just a fun, non-judgmental person who's not trying to get something from them. You're not necessarily going to be able to identify what type of advice or knowledge that you may be able to offer to the person right away, which they might find valuable, but you can at least be a person who's not trying to take, and the person who is contributing to their day or to their evening through conversation. Again, you should be communicating to the person that there won't be any type of negative repercussions if they don't give you what you want. And again, what you want is simply just to have an open conversation. But they should also feel as if they don't feel like having the conversation any longer, You won't get angry or upset, and definitely not physical. But a lot of times what you feel is at least you get a little upset that you wanted their approval or validation, and this puts a burden on them where they become responsible for your emotions. So you start having, they feel maybe empathy, like, oh, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings or something like that. And this is burdening them with this responsibility not to hurt you. And this is something you want to take away and take off their shoulders as soon as possible by showing that you're completely open to them deciding how the conversation goes forward. And if they want to end it and just walk off, that's completely okay with you. Some tips on how to keep a good conversation going is to ask non-yes or no questions. Questions where they have to elaborate a little bit, in which you're going to provide some more information, some more data that you can then ask follow-up questions on. And even better sometimes than asking questions is just to make assumptions about the person, make statements, and see how they respond. If you make an assumption about the person like, hey, you look like you grew up in a rural part of the state, what could they think? They can think either, oh, you're right, that's interesting, how did you know? Or they think, no, that's not right, why do you think this? Either way, they're answering you in a way that will facilitate the continuation of the conversation. Another tip is to not play it safe. That is, don't be afraid to express your honest opinions and ideas. A lot of people who play it safe and they play not to win but to lose just end up having a very boring game, or in this case, it would be a very boring conversation. Most of the time, it's not so much what you say, but the emotions and vibes that are being subcommunicated that actually matter. See, if a person disagrees with you, this can actually make them more engaged in the conversation when they try to counter your points. And in the case, if they actually do agree with you, then they probably will just like you more because you have similar beliefs. So either way, it can be a win-win situation. Now, don't be belligerent or argumentative, but don't be afraid to hold your own beliefs and opinions, state them, while at the same time showing that you do understand the other person's beliefs, even if you don't agree with them. In today's safe space, ultra PC society, just having the self-confidence and self-assurance to actually express some nuanced points can actually earn a lot of respect and admiration from people who really appreciate your authenticity. So even if they don't maybe agree with you, they may still have a great respect for you. Don't constantly filter your thoughts and think, oh, maybe this is not good enough to say, or maybe this will upset the other person, because this will make you come off as looking a lot less authentic. And if you're not coming off as being authentic, then the person can't really trust everything that you're saying. And if they can't fully trust everything that you're saying, they can't use it to form an opinion of you. And if they can't form an opinion of you, they're not going to be able to form a deep connection or trust you. Don't be afraid to talk about something that you're passionate about, because when you're passionate about something, that energy and passion in the conversation, that'll be transferred to the other person, and it's going to make the conversation seem a lot more engaging, even if they're not particularly interested in that subject. And when you come to a subject that the other person's passionate about, let them talk about it, because again, that energy is going to build up in them and contribute to the conversation. So to summarize, when you first start a conversation with a stranger, the things that are going to be running through their mind is, who is this, what do they want, and when they're going to leave. So you want to provide answers to these questions as soon as possible so they're not running in the back of the person's mind and they can fully focus on the conversation at hand. And again, remember, don't block the fire exit, meaning always leave it so the person feels comfortable leaving the conversation at any time and there being no negative repercussions for doing so. Don't go into the conversation with the mentality that you're trying to get something from the person, and instead look for ways that you can provide value. Also, speak honestly, and don't be afraid to share your own opinions, and don't be constantly filtering your thoughts thinking that they're not good enough or that they might upset the other person. And finally, talk about what interests you and what you're passionate about, because when you feel this passion, it's going to be communicated to the other person, and when you find something they're passionate about, let them talk about it without interrupting. So that concludes today's video. I hope you learned something. If you're interested in how these topics can be applied directly to dating and attraction, then I recommend you check out my book. And if you're interested in how they can just be applied more generally in all social situations, then I recommend my online video course. Both of these things can be found linked to in the description below. Until next time, ciao.